My son looked me in the eye and said I was embarrassing his wife's family by showing up to dinner in my work clothes. I'm Frank Coulter, 64 years old, and for the past 18 years, I've let everyone believe I was just another warehouse supervisor, scraping by on overtime pay. What Derek didn't know was that I owned the distribution center where he worked, and 7 others across 3 states. When he told me I had 30 days to move out of what he called the family property, I didn't argue. I made 2 phone calls instead. Let me back up. Derek is 34, married to Amanda for 6 years. She comes from what she calls old money. Her father owns a chain of furniture stores. Her mother sits on charity boards. They live in a neighborhood where the HOA fines you if your grass is a quarter-inch too long. I drive a 2005 Ford Ranger with rust on the wheel wells. I wear Carhartt jackets and steel-toed boots. I buy my groceries at Aldi and bring store-brand beer to family dinners. Derek's learned to apologize for me. Dad just doesn't understand how things work anymore, he told Amanda's parents last Christmas. He's from a different generation. Simple guy. Simple. That word stuck. The trouble started 8 months ago when Derek began referring to my house as the estate. It's a 4-bedroom colonial on 2 acres that I bought in 1998 for $180,000. Paid cash. Derek's lived in the converted garage apartment for 3 years, supposedly saving for his own place. Last month, Amanda posted photos of my living room on her lifestyle blog. The caption read, "Helping family transition into senior living. Sometimes tough love means making hard choices for those who can't." The comments were brutal. Boomers holding on to property they can't maintain. Just take over. It's for his own good. Amanda screenshotted the worst ones and texted them to Derek like evidence. 2 weeks ago, they invited me to dinner. Not at my house, at a steakhouse downtown where the cheapest entree is $42. Amanda's father, Richard, was there. Her mother, Patricia. Derek wore a suit that probably cost more than my monthly utility bill. Richard ordered for the table without asking what I wanted. "Frank," he said, cutting into a ribeye, "Amanda and Derek have been discussing their 5-year plan. They need more space. That house of yours, it's too much for one person." "I manage fine," I said. "Do you?" Patricia dabbed her mouth with her napkin. "The property taxes alone must be crushing you. What are they? 12,000 a year?" 16, Derek corrected. "Dad's house poor. He won't admit it." Amanda leaned forward. "Frank, we want to help. Derek and I could take over the property. You could move into something smaller, a nice senior community. There's one near our gym that's very affordable." "I'm 64, I said, "not 90. Richard cleared his throat. "Frank, I'm going to be direct. That property is worth at least $850,000 in the current market. You're sitting on equity you can't access. Meanwhile, you're one medical emergency away from losing everything." "Who says I can't access it?" "Your credit score," Derek said quietly. "I pulled it last month. You're barely at 620. The table went silent. I set down my fork. "You pulled my credit without asking?" "Dad, I'm trying to help you. You're in denial about your situation." That was when I understood. This wasn't concern. This was a calculation. "We've already talked to an attorney," Amanda added. "We can structure this as a family transfer. You deed us the house. We let you stay in the guest suite for up to 2 years while you transition, and everyone wins." "Everyone wins," I repeated. "Think about it," Richard said. "You'd be helping your son build generational wealth. Isn't that what fathers do?" I smiled, told them I'd consider it. The next morning I called Margaret Chen, my attorney for 23 years. "Margaret, I need documents prepared. Fast." "What kind of documents?" "The kind that teach my son what assumptions cost." By noon I'd also called David Brennan, CEO of Coulter Distribution Systems. Technically my employee, though he runs daily operations. "David, accelerate the Patterson buyout. I want ownership transferred by Friday." "Frank, that's the facility where your son works." "I know." The dinner party was Amanda's idea. A celebration, she called it. 30 people at my house, her blog followers, Derek's co-workers, Richard and Patricia, everyone drinking wine that cost more than my weekly groceries. Amanda had hired caterers. She directed them through my kitchen like she owned it. I showed up in my work boots and a flannel shirt. Carried a 6-pack of Miller High Life. Amanda met me at the door, her smile tight. Frank, you're here. Did you want to change first? Change into what? Something more. She gestured vaguely. Appropriate. Derek appeared behind her. Dad, maybe just put on the khakis I bought you. I'm fine, I said, walking past them. The room didn't exactly go quiet when I entered, but there was that shift, that adjustment. I saw Derek's boss, a man named Carson who makes $250,000 a year. Saw Amanda's biggest client, a woman who just paid her $8,000 for interior design consulting. Saw Richard holding court with a glass of wine that probably cost $60. Frank, Richard called out, come meet some people. He steered me toward a group of men in expensive casual wear. This is Derek's father. Frank, this is James. He owns a roofing company. And Paul, commercial real estate. And Thomas, he's in private equity. They shook my hand with careful politeness. So Frank, Thomas said, what do you do? Work at a distribution center. Ah, how long have you been there? 28 years. James nodded sympathetically. Hard work. Physical? Some days. Amanda appeared with a glass of wine for me. From the cheap bottle, I noticed. Frank's actually thinking about retiring, she announced to the group. We've been helping him explore his options. Options? Paul asked. Downsizing, Derek added, joining us. Dad's place is really too much for one person. We're working on a transition plan. Richard took over. Frank's sitting on significant equity. The smart move is to transfer the property to Derek and Amanda. They can actually maintain it, and Frank can move into something more manageable. Makes sense, Thomas said. My father did something similar. Moved into a retirement community at 67. Much happier. I'm 64, I said quietly. Nobody heard me. The conversation continued around me. About property taxes and maintenance costs and aging in place, about senior communities and assisted living, about me, as if I wasn't standing right there. Finally, Richard raised his glass. Actually, everyone, that's why we're here tonight. Derek and Amanda have news. Derek stood, pulling Amanda with him. Dad, we wanted to tell you with everyone here because they're our support system. Amanda and I have decided to start our family. We need the space. He pulled out an envelope. We've had attorneys draw up the paperwork. Everything's ready. The property transfers to us. You can stay in the guest suite during your transition, and we'll handle all the maintenance and taxes. Applause broke out. Patricia was crying. Someone proposed a toast. To family taking care of family. Everyone raised their glasses. I stayed seated. Derek noticed. Dad, aren't you happy for us? I'm curious about something, I said. The room quieted. Derek, how much do you think this house is worth? We had it appraised, $850,000. And how do you think I've been paying the mortgage for 26 years? Richard answered for him. Frank, we know it's been a struggle. That's why this solution. There is no mortgage, I said. I paid $180,000 cash in 1998. Derek laughed nervously. Dad, that's not possible. You were making what, $40,000 a year back then? Where would you get that kind of money? Where would I get it? I repeated. Amanda's smile had frozen. Frank, maybe we should discuss this privately. No, let's discuss it here, since everyone's so concerned about my financial situation. I pulled out my phone. Not a smartphone, just a basic flip phone that Derek had mocked repeatedly, but I'd had special software installed. I opened an app, pulled up a dashboard. Derek, do you know what Coulter Distribution Systems is? Sure, it's the company that owns the warehouse where I work. Interesting. Tell me about them. Derek shrugged. Private company. They own distribution centers across the Midwest. We lease our facility from them. How much does your company pay in rent? I don't know exactly. Maybe $30,000 a month? $34,000, I corrected, for the Canton facility. Do you know what they pay for the Cleveland site? Dad, why are you $41,000 and the Columbus facility runs $52,000 monthly? Dayton is $38,000. Toledo is $44,000. I could see Carson, Derek's boss, going pale. Frank, Richard said carefully, what are you getting at? I own Coulter Distribution Systems, I said. Founded it in 1995 with money from selling my first logistics company. We currently operate 8 facilities across 3 states. Current valuation is approximately $47 million. The room went silent. Derek stared at me. That's not possible. I turned my phone toward him, showed him the company dashboard. Today's combined revenue across all facilities, $183,000. You're Henry Walsh, Carson whispered. You're the H. Coulter that signs our lease agreements. Harold Coulter is my full name. I go by Frank. Amanda made a small choking sound. The warehouse where Derek works, I continued, was sold 3 days ago to Patterson Industrial Holdings. Transaction closed yesterday at 4 p.m. New ownership takes effect Monday morning. Derek found his voice. You sold the building where I work? I sold a commercial property to a qualified buyer. Yes. Carson had his phone out. His face had gone white. Patterson just sent new lease terms. They've doubled our rates. $58,000 a month, plus additional fees for... He looked at Derek. This is going to force major budget cuts. We'll have to restructure the entire department. That's between you and Patterson, I said. Derek grabbed my arm. Dad, you did this because of the house? I did this because Robert Patterson offered me $12.3 million for the Canton property, and I accepted. The fact that your employer leases space there is incidental. Richard had recovered. Frank, even if this is true, it's true. I pulled up my banking app, showed him the balance. First Republic Trust account, 31-1, 847, $293. That's just liquid assets, I added. Property holdings and business equity bring the total to just under $50 million. Patricia grabbed Richard's arm. But you drive that old truck, Amanda whispered. You shop at Aldi. I drive a truck that runs. I shop where the prices are reasonable. What does that have to do with how much money I have? Derek, Carson said quietly, we need to talk. Privately. Derek looked between us. Dad, please, the shipping costs alone will require your company to make adjustments. Maybe they'll pass the cost to customers. Maybe they'll restructure. Maybe you'll need to find new employment. I shrugged. That's business. This is revenge, Amanda said. You're punishing us for trying to help you. Help me? I looked at her. Amanda, do you know what I paid in property taxes last year? $16,000. $18,400. Do you know why? She shook her head. Because I donated the difference to the county library system. I've been doing it for 12 years. I looked at Derek. You pulled my credit, found a 620 score, and decided that meant I was struggling. What else would it mean? It means I don't borrow money. I haven't had a loan in 23 years. Credit scores measure borrowing behavior. I don't borrow, I buy with cash. The room had cleared. People were leaving quietly, not meeting anyone's eyes. Richard made one last attempt. Frank, surely we can work something out. The warehouse sale, the property transfer. What property transfer? I pulled papers from my jacket. As of Monday, this house was transferred to the Coulter Family Trust. The trust owns it. Not me personally. Who controls the trust? Derek asked. I do, as sole trustee. I looked at my son. Derek, you've been living in my guest apartment for 3 years. Rent-free. I charged you $200 monthly for utilities, which covered about a third of actual costs. Guest apartment, Amanda said faintly. The converted garage. You've never lived in the main house? That's always been my residence. Derek sat down hard. I've received notice from Margaret Chen, my attorney, I continued, that you're to vacate the guest apartment within 60 days. That's in accordance with Texas rental law for month-to-month occupancy. You're evicting us, Derek said. I'm asking you to find your own place to live. You're 34 years old. Amanda was crying now. Not delicate tears, harsh, shocked sobs. Richard and Patricia left without saying goodbye. Carson pulled Derek aside. Their conversation was brief and quiet, but I saw Derek's face go pale. When everyone had gone, Derek stood in my living room, my actual living room, the one he'd never been invited into. Dad, I don't understand. Why would you let us think you were broke? I never said I was broke. You assumed. You drive a 20-year-old truck. It has 140,000 miles, runs perfectly. Why would I replace it? You shop at discount stores. Because a can of beans costs the same, whether I buy it at Whole Foods or Aldi. Maybe you can explain why I should pay more for identical products. Derek had no answer. Son, I said quietly, your mother and I decided when you were young that we'd live modestly. We wanted you to build your own success, see who you'd become without money influencing every choice. I became someone who tried to steal your house. You became someone who thought I was too incompetent to manage my own life. I sat down. Derek, did you ever ask about my work? About what I actually did all day? He was quiet. In 3 years of living 20 feet from my front door, did you ever ask how I was doing? Not financially, just how I was? No. You saw an old man in work boots and decided you knew everything about my life. Derek's voice broke. What am I supposed to do now? Carson says the budget cuts will eliminate at least 4 positions. I'm probably losing my job. Then find another one. You have a business degree? You're young. You'll figure it out. We can't afford our car payment without my salary. Then sell the car. Buy something cheaper. Amanda's lease is $680 a month. Then break the lease, pay the penalty, make different choices. Derek looked at his hands. You planned this, all of it. No, I reacted to what you did. There's a difference. Dad, I'm sorry. We were wrong. Can we just start over? You have 60 days to move out, I said. After that, we'll see. He left. I sat in my living room, in the house I built with money I earned myself, and felt tired. Not regret, just tired. My phone buzzed. Text from Margaret. Patterson's attorney called. They wanted to discuss purchasing the Cleveland facility. Interested? I texted back. Maybe. Depends on the offer. The house was quiet. I walked through rooms where Derek had grown up, where his mother and I had raised him before cancer took her 8 years ago. I'd spent 18 years maintaining a careful fiction, living modestly enough that my son would never question where the money came from, never wonder if I had more than I showed. I'd wanted him to build his own success. Instead, he'd learned to covet mine. The lesson wasn't finished yet, but it had started. And sometimes that's all you can do. Start the lesson and hope they're smart enough to learn it. I made coffee, sat on my back porch, watched the sun set over property I'd owned for 26 years, that I'd almost lost to a son who thought I was too simple to understand my own worth. Tomorrow I'd call Derek, tell him about the job opening at Patterson's main office. Entry level, $44,000 a year. No family favors, no shortcuts. Just an opportunity to earn something himself. But tonight I just sat, drank my coffee, and understood that sometimes the greatest gift you can give someone is letting them discover what happens when they take something for granted. The revenge wasn't in selling the warehouse. It wasn't in the eviction notice. It was in Derek finally understanding that the broke old man he'd tried to save was the only person who'd ever actually saved him, and now he'd have to learn to save himself.